It was actually from last night. Draymond Green and Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr was on Draymond Green's podcast last night after Game 2.
This is interesting.
Why? Why?
Because there's something bigger at play.
Well,
I'm not mad at both entities.
Be specific.
Did I love my coach? The coach says, I love my power forward. Bob is gone. Some think we're in disarray. To the powers to be, Joe Lacob, we are one. And I think that's why he was the guest on the podcast. I love it, but they're sending the signal. Forget what they even talked about. You're about to play it. It was about unity, Steiny, the Warrior unity. I'm not mad, but I've been around.
Yeah, we're going to play some of that. I'm going to get it all under control in the next 5 or 10 minutes. But nothing to see here. Just two guys who might be on the last year of their deals talking about basketball. There's definitely something going on.
I did think about you.
Something's going on in Golden State right now.
And let me tell you what's going on is they're looking for a general manager. Had your phone blown up after you went public with what you think is going to happen and what you're hearing? Dunleavy.
What?
Did your phone blow up? Did people?
No. Why would it?
Because that was a bombshell.
No, it wasn't. Everybody knows Dunleavy's getting the job.
Do we find something out this week?
For the 8th time a week ago, Bob Myers said it's Mike's job if he wants it. Question is, does he want it? Will Joe Lacob meet his number or whatever? I'm sure it'll all work out. It'll all work out. The question is what
podcast though.
The question is what happens after Mike Dunleavy takes over, if that's the case. What's the first move?
I wonder what his relationship is with Dre, Klay Thompson. Like, I thought somebody from the outside would be like, hey, you know what, Steiny? Hey, it's a wrap, buddy. We love you. Tell Susan hello and the kids. But, we can't exit. So, where does Dunleavy fall on that tree, Steiny?
I don't think we know. I don't think we know. I don't think we know what Dunleavy, what his preferred direction is. I don't think we know if it's in lockstep with Lacob, and I don't think we know if Dunleavy has as much or more or less power than Bob Myers in terms of making a decision.
What a word, power. And I do wonder, because Joe shared with us that at that presser what Bob's profile didn't have, and that was experience, but he felt something in his gut, and it worked out. I wonder, where does Dunleavy fall on that Joe Lacob scale, Steiny? Obviously, he's been working up underneath him, so all good, huh?
Yeah, in terms of Joe Lacob's hires during his tenure, no, Dunleavy actually has experience compared with Mark Jackson, Steve Kerr, and Bob Myers. Yeah. Steve was never Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr were never head coaches before. Bob Myers was never a GM before. So, in theory, Mike Dunleavy's got more practical experience on the job than those three guys had at the time. But we'll see. We'll see. I definitely found it interesting that Steve Kerr went on with Draymond Green. I can't quite put my finger on it other than I almost feel like both are advocating for each other. Mm-hmm. I think they're both honestly, I think Draymond Green would love to re-sign here for 3 years at a nice number, more than Jordan Poole. And I think Steve Kerr sees an opportunity here to get an extension for a big-time amount of money, especially after Monty Williams got what he got in Detroit. To me, Steve Kerr's got a lot of leverage right now.
Yeah, and he should. I'll say this. Forget me and forget 2026, 2027. Right now, and I've told you, Steiny, I wouldn't give Draymond 2 or 3 years. I just wouldn't, because I'm concerned about what he would be, how impactful he would be, guarding guys bigger than him in the low post. So I'm telling you that, but I'm telling you they also need him next year if this team is closer and can get back to what it was when they won the chip. I don't know if they can, but for the immediate, you have to bring Draymond Green back. And the reason I say that is I don't think Kuminga's ready, Steiny. I would love to see him get an opportunity a la Trey Lance. So I do understand that, good, you ain't seen nothing that would make Jonathan ready. Maybe the presence of or the non-presence of Draymond would give him some type of inner confidence. But right now with Steph Curry, and let's assume Klay Thompson's coming back with Kerr, you can't let Dre go, because I don't see how you could parlay Dre to get anything that would be even remotely close to what he brings on and off the court.
So now you want to keep him? Because last week you said let him. You got to let him walk.
I'm telling you what's best for the team next year,
which is
what? Draymond Green in a Warrior uniform. Now, what if they sign and trade and get something back for Dre? Steiny, I'll be like, wow, didn't see that. But right now,
that's not going to happen.
No,
because I'll tell you what, they're not going to. I mean, I'd be surprised if they take on that much more money with Draymond Green. The real money that they're going to have to pay Draymond Green with a 3-year extension, or 3-year, is pretty scary. This is Bob Myers. I'm sorry, this is Steve Kerr. He was on the Draymond Green podcast, and they were talking about Bob Myers. What happened with Bob Myers, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was more that Miami just brought them.
This one.
I mentioned early in the podcast just the fact that it's a collaboration, and Bob is a huge part of the collaboration. And he and I have been partners in this thing for 9 years. He hired me. He was here before I was. I don't know what it's going to be like without him. There's already like a really hollow feeling just knowing he's not going to be in the building every day. There's an incredible friendship there, incredible sense of gratitude that I have for Bob for everything that we've shared and been through together. And I'm going to miss him, and we're going to miss him. I mean, he's just a huge part of everything. There's so much more that goes into being a general manager than just making draft picks and signing free agents. It's you're literally managing everybody in the organization from day to day. And Bob's the master. He has an incredible way of making people feel good about themselves and yet making people feel accountable at the same time, and wanting people, making people want to do their best, not for him, but for the group and for yourself. He's constantly challenging all of us to be our best, but without sort of putting pressure on us, if that makes sense. He's got an amazing way about him.
Damn, that was well said, Steiny. He meant that. Hollow. If I'm Bob Myers, that warms me to hear that. Hollow.
Well, he's not hollow yet because he's still working.
Good point.
He's still working.
6:30.
We know that. We know that. I mean, the one thing that hits me a little bit here is if Bob Myers isn't there and it's got something to do with the direction that Bob wanted to go. Let's say Bob was more likely to want Draymond around for another couple years. Then does that mean without Bob that Steve and Draymond can kind of lobby for Draymond, because now the guy who either wanted to go forward with him or not, we don't know whether Bob wanted to go forward with Draymond or not. Or I'll look at it the other way. What if Bob was like, it's time to get off Draymond, and Steve says, well, Bob, I love you, but we get off Draymond, our days of winning titles are over. And Bob says, well, if you look ahead, I mean, I just got to, at some point, Joe needs to cut money, and it's time to do that.
Yeah.
And maybe just Bob sees how untenable it's going to be and says, I'm not going to do that. And now all of a sudden there's a power void because there's no Bob Myers. Well, now Draymond can really lobby for his own extension, and Steve Kerr can lobby for him, and vice versa. I think, I'm probably reading into this too much, but the first thing I thought of when I saw Steve Kerr go on a podcast last night with Draymond Green is, look at that. Two guys whose future are unknown. Both in a position to get paid big money this offseason. You scratch your back, I'll scratch mine.
Yeah, and over a chop it up session.
You scratch mine, I'll scratch yours. That's kind of what I saw. I see two guys who want to be here for no other reason than to get one more paycheck.
Yeah, and this is home, Steiny, and they conquered the league. They've been on the top of the mountain 4 times. So just think about that. Now, this is just me on my selfish list. I just want to hear from Steph Curry. He could be in France. He could be in Spain. I don't know. But damn it, how hard is it to hear from the heart and soul of the organization after the departure of Bob? I know it's coming, but by the time we read it, it'll be stale. Give me something fresh, like some fresh cookies. Give me some fresh biscuits. But two, I do wonder, because last year you said, Goo, or some people did, this Warrior team has like a last dance feel to it. But if you're telling me Clay, Steve, and Dre are going to come in one and done with one left? Like, that's too much pandemonium for me, Steiny. Like, I don't even think Joe would think that's the way. You know what I'm saying? You want to take care of that.
I mean, to me, this was.
You don't want to pay the bill 24-hour notice?
Bob Myers out of here means that, it'll never be the same.
Well, true.
I mean, this is like there's a line in the sand that's been drawn between this past year and whatever happens in the future, and that's Bob Myers is gone.
But he wasn't forced out. By all accounts, it was his decision to go deal with his family.
Everybody had a reason to last dance.
Well, damn.
Michael Jordan could have come back, too. He chose to walk away. Phil Jackson.
Nobody but Phil.
He was on his last year.
Interesting.
So what I'm getting at is I think it's like – how do I want to put this? I think it's kind of over. Not necessarily the dynasty or the winning or all that, but the Warriors as we knew them.
And we're about to find out with everything you just set up that awaits them, payroll-wise and decisions.